Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 4th Karnataka Butterfly Festival. And thank you for taking the time to attend today's talk. As you all know, today's talk is the first of 5 expert talks being organized as part of the festival. Today's topic is Early Stages and Host Plants of Butterflies by Hanish KM. Before we start, it's my privilege to introduce today's speaker, Hanish KM. Hanish is originally from Kerala, and it was there that he first started watching butterflies. This was way back in 2005. Soon thereafter, in 2008, Hanish shifted to Bangalore, where he continues to pursue both his profession as well as his passion towards the study of butterflies. Hanish works as an assistant professor in the electrical engineering department at Christ University, Bangalore. He is a proponent of the concept of citizen science, and in spite of not having a background in botany or biology, he has established himself as an expert citizen scientist in the field of butterflies, their early stages, and their host plants. 10 years back, along with other passionate butterfly scientists, citizen scientists, Mr. Ashok Sen Gupta, Nitin Ravikantachari, and Rohit Kirotra, Hanish co-founded the Bangalore Butterfly Club to promote the awareness about and study of butterflies in Karnataka. He has played a critical role in the growth of the Citizen Science Initiative, which we lovingly refer to as BBC or the Bengaluru Butterfly Club. Being with Hanish on a nature walk is an amazing experience. You will get to see things you've never seen before. He will find things which you would have not spotted otherwise. With his expertise in butterfly taxonomy, knowledge of early life stage of butterflies, and his knowledge of larval host plants, he is able to provide an amazing insight to the participants of the walk. I'm sure that people of all categories, children, adults, nature lovers, students, teachers, amateurs, and professionals who are attending today's talks will benefit from his knowledge. With that brief introduction, I would like to hand over the proceedings to Hanish. Thank you, Hanish, for taking the time from your busy schedule to so generously share your knowledge with us as part of the 4th Karnataka Butterfly Festival proceedings. Over to you.
Okay, so thank you, Priya, for the nice introduction.
Just a minute, sir. Before we start, I would request all the participants to please keep yourself muted and keep your, if you have any questions to ask and if you want to ask, please use the chat to drop your question. They will be answered at the end of the presentation. And please keep your video off so that the streaming also will be better for everyone. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. So this talk series is a part of the Karnataka Butterfly Festival. So this is a 4th edition of the Karnataka Butterfly Festival. So today I'll be talking on the early stages and larval host plants of butterflies. So as you know, so the butterflies are the beautiful creatures, and all are fascinated with the beauty of butterfly. But when you are seeing a butterfly, we are seeing only the adult stage. Okay, so the butterfly is having a beautiful metamorphosis. Okay, so they'll be transforming from egg to a butterfly. So before the butterfly stage, there are a few life forms or a few stages. So that is what we are calling it as the early stages of butterfly. So basically we will be having the egg, caterpillar, and the pupa of the butterfly. So today I'll try to just go through some early stages, also some the common host plants in which we are seeing around, so that I'll just try to introduce. So, and in the coming this week we will be having more talks. So I think Nitin is already here, and we are having the Samalan is coming, the Harsha is coming, and the Arunar is coming. So we'll be having more talks, and you'll be having better insights on this topic. So today I'll talk more on the early stages. So these are the rough outline of my talk. So you'll be having some introduction, the early stages, and some in the family classification of butterflies, and some introduction of some host plants, and in between some interesting facts regarding the butterflies and its early stages. Okay. So you can post the questions in between. So and as per the direction we'll be discussing after the session. Okay. So the actually most of the this session will be mostly with the pictures, because I thought that will be easier to connect, especially when we are having the different audience. I thought I'll be speaking with more pictures. Okay, so the I've taken most of these pictures are from the that is the portal. I mean, the where the encyclopedia for the Indian butterflies. So you are familiar with it. So the pictures credits are along with the pictures. So I've taken a lot of pictures from the iPhone butterflies of India. So I may not be giving the individual credits, but all the credits are in the picture itself. So actually I taken these pictures that way. One is it was quite easy to handle, and second thing, it is a way to tell that how powerful the citizen science is. Okay, when you are having contribution from many people, and how it is easy to organize and do things, and how each your record will be, how it is valuable. Okay. So I think by the end of this session, you will also be the motivated to contribute more to the iPhoneButterflies.org. Okay. So and that's introductions, and you all know the butterfly life cycle. So it is the actually the word metamorphosis. When somebody is telling the first picture is coming into your mind is the life cycle of a butterfly. So we have the four different stages for it. We have the egg, caterpillar, pupal stage, and finally the adult stage. So these are the four the stages in the butterfly, and the previous to adult stage, which we are generally calling it, is the early stages. Okay. So why we are looking for early stages? So early stages are the stage where the butterfly is associated with more its environment. Okay, so for the survival of the butterfly, it requires a lot of vegetation around. So for laying eggs to grow the caterpillars on it, and I mean at the adult stage it will be looking for the nectaring also. Okay. So when you're watching the butterflies, you will be watching the nature also. So when you're especially when you are watching the early stages, you will be more connected to the nature than just looking at the adult. Okay. So that is what we are learning more on the early stages. So where you can learn more about the nature, the laws of the nature, how different plants, what is the relationship between them, and how the other insects or other creatures are affecting the life of butterfly. Okay. So the first stage is the egg stage. So usually the female butterfly will the laying egg on a certain set of plants. Each species will be having some preference for the host plants. Okay, so that they'll be laying only on that particular set of plants, or sometimes only one plant, sometimes a set of plants. Okay, so that is what is known as the larval host plant. So here you can see some of the pictures, the egg laying pictures you can see here. Okay, so the how a butterfly is a female is exactly laying egg on its host plant. I think the next day the Nitin will be explaining more on that one. Okay, so usually the butterfly will be sensing certain chemicals on that plant. Okay, so the mostly by touching its feet, there will be some sensory organs in the feet of the butterfly. So by sensing the that chemicals, it will be locating the host plant. Even in a crowded bush, it can locate its plant, and it will be exactly laying on that particular plant. So that is how it is the locating the plant. And some butterflies will be having many host plants. Here it is a common mormon, which I shown here in the picture. So it is having different host plants. There are different citrus plants. Yeah. So you have the Aglae marmalus, so that's a bale plant, and the curry leaf, and different the types of rictaceae plant, it will be laying eggs. So some butterflies will be having different host plants, and whereas some of them will be having only one host plant. Actually, this is a beautiful Malabar banded peacock. Okay, it's a state butterfly of Kerala. So it is known to breed only on one particular tree, that is the Xanthosylum rustica, whereas the common marmon and all laying egg on different plants. And the how the butterfly is selecting the location for laying egg. Some butterflies prefer to lay eggs on only on leaves. Okay. Some of them will be laying egg only on the tender leaves or on the shoots. Okay. Where some butterflies like the common baron and all will be laying egg on the matured leaves. Okay. And some butterflies will be laying egg on the flower buds, like your the line blues and all. You will be preferring to lay egg on the flower buds. Okay. And some the butterflies like your guava blue or the cornelian will be laying egg on the fruit. Okay. So you can see some of the pictures here, how the butterfly is laying egg and where it is laying egg. Okay. And the size of the eggs. Okay, so this you would have seen some of the eggs. Okay, so the common mormon and all you would have seen on the lemon plant or curry leaf plant. You know the size. So usually the diameter will be 1 to 3 millimeter. And here it is a grass blue egg. So you can see it is too tiny. You cannot even clearly recognize with your naked eyes. Okay, whereas the some big butterflies like common rose and all, you can see it will be slightly bigger. And you can also see they are coming with different shapes, different sizes. Okay, so I think through this talk I can just give some idea from the shape of the egg, how you can distinguish the family, which family it may belong. Okay. So that I'll try to talk. Okay. And some the butterflies will be laying egg singly. Okay. Or some of them may be laying as a batch. I think the title I forgot to change. Okay. Some they will be putting as smaller batches of 4 or 5 eggs, whereas some butterflies will be single eggs. Okay. Whereas something like your the 3-spot grass yellow, the your banana skipper, the rounded palm eye, the Tony Coaster, all that things will be laying egg as a big batches of the some 50 or 100 or even more than that. Okay. So that is for the better survival of the entire batch. So in this talk, actually, I'll be touching not only but the Bangalore butterflies. I'll be mainly talking on the touching on the butterflies from the Western Ghats, the region, or in the peninsular, the butterflies in the peninsular India. Okay. And these are the two butterflies which are having a totally different egg-laying behavior. So one is the Sahyadri yeoman or Tamil yeoman, which we are calling. So this state butterfly of Tamil Nadu now. Okay. And the another one is the Malabar banded swallowtail. Okay. And you can see they both will be laying egg as a stack. So they'll be laying egg. Their eggs will be stacked like a tower. Okay. So these two butterflies are having a peculiar behavior. So that are the two butterflies in the Western Ghats region having these types of egg laying. So once the egg is laid, so the depending on the size or the species or family, so it will be taking some 3-4 days to 1 week to hatch the egg. So it will be naturally hatched. Okay, so you need not do anything. Any particular temperature is not required. So naturally they'll be hatching. Okay, so they'll be growing from inside and they'll naturally come out after that the gestation period. Okay. So the first thing the caterpillar will do is they'll be eating its own eggshell. Okay. So it is nutritious. So and another thing is that if that eggshell is laying there, it may attract the potential predators like the ants, lizards, and all. So the first thing the caterpillar will do is it will be eating its own eggshell. Okay. So that is the series shown here. So you can see the entire series of a oriental giant red-eye caterpillar is having its first meal. Okay. So after that, actually the caterpillar will be slowly start eating the leaves, okay, or the plants which they are the host plant, and slowly it will be growing up. So you can see the caterpillar is growing big. So during this stages. So it will be going through 5 different instar or 5 different stages. Okay. So I mean, from one stage to next stage, you can see there is some lot of visual differences there. Okay. So before going to its next stage, it will be molting or it will be shredding its old skin and it will be changing into a new form. Okay. So you'll be having total 5 instar for every butterfly caterpillar. So it will be going for a transition. So I mean, the only one caterpillar will not be growing into the adult. So in between, it will be going to through different shapes. So and in different instars, they may be having different appearance depending on the species. So that is for actually again for the survival technique. So it can hide better on the host plants from the predators. It can hide better. So here the picture is of a Indian blue mormon, okay, Papilio polymster. So actually it is the state butterfly of Maharashtra state now. So it's a beautiful butterfly. You can see it even in the Bangalore city in the post-monsoon months. Yeah. And I told from one stage to another stage when it is moving, it will be growing. So while growing, the clothes may be too tight, so they'll be changing or they'll be shredding their old skin. So that is what is known as this molting. Okay, you can see on the right, the common rose caterpillar is shredding its old skin and it will be coming to a new instar. Okay, and the right one, the left one is actually a shredded head. Okay, so a head capsule, even it will be shedding its head capsule. So, and usually when the caterpillar is shredded its old skin, usually the caterpillar itself will eat the old skin. Okay, so I told the previously regarding eggs. So the same reason here. The one thing is the molted skin is nutritious, so that the caterpillar need not waste the energy source. Okay. Second thing is that if it is leaving it there, so it can attract a lot of the potential predators like the ants, lizards, and all. So usually once the caterpillar is shredded its skin, so it will be eating that mold. So you can, once those who have observed the early stages, they would have seen this thing. The caterpillar is eating. And once this 5 instar is completed, then it is totally grown, matured. Then it will be going for the pupation. So that time it will be doing the final molting. So here actually is the molting of a red Helen butterfly is shown in the top green colored ones. Okay, so you can see that a caterpillar will be hanging, and finally it will be slowly molting its skin and converting into itself into a beautiful pupa. And this red one is that of a common rose. Okay. So this is how a butterfly is molting into a pupal stage. Okay. In the pupal stage, they'll be staying for the few days to few weeks, depends on the size of the species or the environmental conditions and all. So it will be staying there for a few days to few weeks, and finally it will be emerging out as a butterfly. Okay. So this is the outline of or the anatomy of a caterpillar, and you can see that every butterfly caterpillar will be having 3 pairs of the true legs or the thoracic legs. Okay, and then the middle portion, it will be these are not the true legs, these are known as the prolegs. Okay, and you'll be having at the tail end, you'll be having some anal prolegs. So this will be helping them to the caterpillar to hold on the surfaces properly, on the host plant properly. So you can see the head, thorax, abdomen, and all. Okay, so this is the one way to identify the butterfly caterpillar from some other the caterpillars, because the most of the other insects also having the early stages like the mayflies or beetles. So how you can easily identify a butterfly or a moth caterpillar? Actually, both the Lepidoptera group will be having the similar structure. So totally it will be 14 the segments will be there. Okay, so the first 3 legs only will be the true legs. So there will be prolegs, and the anal, the prolegs will be there. Okay. And some butterflies, okay, some butterflies will be having the tentacles. Okay, so some horn-like things to they protect it, or to this one. Okay, so one
just a minute. Participants, I request all of you to please mute yourself. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you can, I think you can see the oriental striped tiger, the butterfly caterpillar on the right. So I think you can connect the anatomy to that of a live butterfly caterpillar here. Now, so you can see the actual eyes of the caterpillar is too tiny. Actually, it is on the head portion. I'll just go back in. Actually, it will be on the head at the bottom portion of the head. So it will be too tiny, and there will be a set of eyes. Okay, actually, the eye which you are seeing in this picture is not a real eye. It's a fake eye to distract the predators. So the true eyes will be too small. I think you can see on the head. It will be a set of eyes, so which cannot detect all the colors and all. You can just see the bright and dark only. Okay, so, and the general question usually I'm getting is how to distinguish the butterfly and the moth caterpillar. Okay. So you know, we have more moths than butterflies. Okay, so at least we have in India we have at least the butterfly to moth ratio is at least 1:10. So we have around 330 butterflies in the Western Ghats region. So at least 10 times more the moths are there. Okay. So the how you can identify the butterfly and moth caterpillar. So one thing is, I mean, with some experience, you can distinguish most of them. Okay, so still there can be some confusing ones. Okay, but there are some general structures. So you know, this is a geometry moth. So all these are moth caterpillar. So the prominent factor is actually the last proleg at all. So in moths, the last proleg will be more prominent, and usually the moth caterpillars will be having a lot of hairy structures, and some of them may be loopers. It will be having certain loops and all. So with some experience, you can identify them. These are some the other moths. Okay, so this is a fruit piercing moth. Say hawk moth. This one is a lobster moth. It is known as. So this is a sort of species. So some of them you can identify. So usually they'll be more hairy. So and with some experience, you'll be able to identify it. And one prominent factor is the anal proleg, which will be more the prominent in the moths. Okay, so now I'll be going to the different butterfly families. Okay, actually in India we have actually total 6 families. So we have the Swallowtails, the Papilionida family, Viridae, the whites and yellows, Nymphalidae, and Rheodinidae, that is a metal marks. And in the Western Ghats region, we have only 2 butterflies, the Judies, the plum Judy and double-banded Judy, only 2 Judies in that family. And we have blues, and we have the Hesperidae, the skippers. So we have total 6 families. So I'll go through the families through their early stages. So that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, so that once you get the idea about the family, so that you can distinguish the early stages also. Okay. So these are some members of the Swallowtails family. So the distinguishing factor is they'll be having some swallowtails. You can see that there'll be some the appendage to their wings, okay, especially the hind wing. So that is why they are known as the swallowtail. Okay, and we have around 19 butterflies in the Western Ghats region. So they are big butterflies. Okay. And our common Mormon, common lime, all that things, the butterflies belong to this family. Okay. So here showing the early stage of a lime butterfly, there's a northern lime swallowtail. So here, this is a typical lifestyle. You can see the eggs of this particular family will be more like a globe, so globular eggs. Okay, you would have seen it in your the curry leaf plant or lemon plant. And the caterpillars, the adult caterpillar will be usually cylindrical in shape, so they are slightly bulky, and there'll be the around 2-inch length. The caterpillars will be there, and you can see that the pupa structure will be usually the pupa will be forming by some silk thread attached to some support. Okay, you can see some, it is attached to the support by, or some strong support or leaves or stem by some silk thread, and bottom point of that pupa is attached to the stem or tick. Okay. So this is a typical structure of a swallowtail butterfly. So I'll show more pictures. Okay, I think you can identify the nature of the swallowtail eggs. So I told they are globular, so they're slightly big. You can easily see it using your naked eyes. Okay, and some of these, all these lime butterfly, the blue Mormon, common Mormon, all that things are having the similar shape. And we have the common rose, crimson rose, the Sahyadri birdwing, all that things will be having some orange colored eggs. Okay, they are also globular, so they all belong to this family. So I think you can identify the butterfly family from the shape of the eggs. Okay, and we have a genus, the in this our roses are coming, also the Sahyadri birdwing, and you can see that this group is having the caterpillars having some spikes on their body. Okay, all these things are the usually the red or rose color with the spikes on body. Yeah, and usually the one question is how usually we'll be identifying the common rose and crimson roses. The common rose caterpillar will be having a white band on the body. Okay, the white band is the restricted to only one segment. Okay. Whereas the crimson rose will be having only some white spot. There won't be any band. So that is how you will be identifying the common rose and crimson rose butterfly. And the Sahyadri birdwing, actually it will be having a slightly the projections will be at a particular angle, and the white band will be in more than, it will be in 2 segments. Okay, whereas the crimson rose will be having only the white band only in 1 segment. This will be having in 2 segments, and this is endemic, the Malabar rose. Okay, so the Malabar rose will be having more white markings or white spikes on the body. Okay. And you can see that I told this is a typical shape of a papillonoid pupae. So it will be pupae is attached to the support by using some silk thread, and bottom part of it is attached to the support. So and the another the genus in the family is the Graphium. Okay, so we have the common jay, the tailed jay, blue bottle, and we have the spot tail, the spot swordtail, 5-bar, and all. You can see that all these caterpillars are belonging to this genus. You can see that the shape is slightly tapered to the tail end. Okay, and it will be having some horns or some fake eyes here. That is to distract the predators mainly. Okay, so this another the genus from the Papillionidae family, and this is the Malabar banded peacock. So actually after monsoon, if you are going to the Western Ghats, okay, so you can see this beautiful peacock is flying around. So this is a caterpillar and pupae of this particular butterfly. I think with this you can identify the a family of butterfly from its look, how a papillon, the caterpillar generally looks, how its egg looks, and uh, how its pupa looks. Okay, so this red Helen and this blue Mormon, and this is a Malabar banded swallowtail. I've shown the stack like egg. So usually when that eggs are hatched, they'll be having this golden colored kids. They'll be sitting together. So that's a survival technique which they'll be using. Okay, and this papillon, the caterpillar is having another particular or interesting thing is it is known as a osmetorium. It is having a defensive organ. Okay, so behind their head. So when in the caterpillar is distracted or it is threatened, so it will be suddenly the the showing some particular organ. So it will be looking like a snake tongue, so that sometimes when it is suddenly shown, the predators may be distracted, or they'll be, it is to keep away the predators. So only this particular family of butterflies will be having this particular organ. It is known as the osmeterium. So only the papillon caterpillars will be having this one. Okay. And this is the typical pupa structures. So you can see it from the roses will be having the particular shape, and this is the Graphium species. So they'll be having a different pupal structure, but you can see now how these butterflies came into the same group. So they'll be having the same caterpillars, a similar looking caterpillars, and similar the pupal structure. Okay, and the another question we are usually facing is how we'll be distinguishing the common Mormon and the lime swallowtail. Okay, usually both will be breeding on the common plants like the curry leaves and the lemon. So one thing they can identify with their color. Another thing is especially in the lower instars, the lime swallowtails will be having more spikes on the body. Okay, so here in the middle picture, you can see that the lime swallowtail will be having more spikes compared to the common Mormon in that particular instar. And the last one is a Malabar raven. I just kept it to show the color difference. So usually each species will be having slightly different coloration. Okay, so that's a first family. Okay, we have total 6 families. So I think you got some idea how the early stages of papillon looks like. Okay. So next family is the whites and yellows. So you can see some of the members pictures I've shown. So you know now why it is known as the whites and yellows. So they're usually the medium-sized butterflies with you mean that not so strong wings, and usually they are whites and yellows in colors. Okay, so our grass yellows, the emigrants, the orange tips, the Jezebels and all will be coming in this group. So, and this is the typical life cycle of a Peridae family. Okay, so you can see the eggs. Again, previously we have seen the global or the globular shaped eggs. Okay, here it is more like a spindle shaped eggs, so it will be more elongated, and it is usually fixed at the bottom part. So this egg of a lemon emigrant, and these caterpillars of this family are usually more elongated, more thin. Okay, so you can see this the final instar caterpillar of a lemon emigrant, and pupa is similar to previous one. So they'll be attached to the support by using a silk thread, but the pupa, this pupa will be usually thinner compared to the Papilionida family, and they'll be small compared to the Papilionida family because these butterflies are generally smaller. Okay. And kept more pictures of the eggs, so you can see that these eggs are the more spindle shape, and some of them are the common gull, chocolate albatross and all, you can see that more elongated and more pointed. Some of them are having a small ridges around. Okay. And most of them are single eggs, whereas the Indian Jezebel and all, they'll be laying egg as big batches. Okay. So you can see that the shape, you can still, it's the same, but they'll be laying egg as big batches. And the caterpillar, I told, they are more thin and they'll be having a long and thin caterpillar. So from this is a grass yellow and this common gull and the mottled emigrant, the crimson tip. So all that things, the caterpillars are almost similar in shape. And this is how they're pupating. So you can see that once the caterpillar is matured, so it will be looking for a safe and secure place to pupate. So they'll be tying some silk thread around and they'll pupate that place. And this is of a giant great orange tip, and it's in Indian wanderer. And you can see that slightly different shape for different species. Some of them may be pupating even on the leaves because these are slightly smaller butterflies, so that support will be sufficient for them. Okay. And the last two are the of lemon emigrant and mottled emigrant. So how, I mean, usually they will be sharing the host plant like the Cassia fistula or different senna plants. So how to distinguish these two species is from their pupa is usually the lemon emigrant will be having a longer nose. The tip will be more longer, whereas the mottled emigrant will be having a short nose. So that is how you can identify these two butterfly from their pupa. Okay. So next family is the Nymphalidae family. So we are having more members in this family compared to the other two previous ones. So we have around 80 plus species in this family. And you can see that it's a slightly complex group. We are having slightly different shapes and the size from this family. Okay. And one particular peculiarity of this family, why it is known as brush-footed, is okay, most of the members in this family will be having only 4 legs. So butterfly is an insect, so usually we'll be expecting the 6 legs. Okay. But here the first one pair of legs will be it is reduced and it is the joined with its different portion, so that you can see only the 4 legs here. And this is why it is known as the brush-footed butterflies. Okay. And you'll be having your evening browns, the rings, and different cross and tigers, all sailors, all that will be coming under this particular family. So that's a Nymphalidae family. And this is a typical life cycle of a Nymphalidae family. And I told we are having more members, so it will be having slightly different in different genus. Okay. So this is of a Danite egg fly. Okay. So you would have seen this butterfly. So this is known as a egg fly because there will be egg-shaped the markings on the wing of this male butterfly, and the male and female are having different appearance. Okay. And this is a particular species where we are having females having different forms. Okay. Actually, this is a male, and these two are different two female forms. This is the regular female form, and this form is known as Inaria, and we have one more form here. And you can see that these eggs are usually a dome shaped. Okay. So bottom is flat and the top is something like a dome. Okay. And some of them are with some ridges on this, these spikes or ridges on it. Okay. So this is different from the first two families which we have discussed here. Okay. And the caterpillars are most of the caterpillars will be having some spikes or some horns. Okay. And this family is pupating also different. You can see that they are hanging from some support, okay, with their tail portion attached, so that they'll be hanging from the support, and they'll be having a closed pupa. So this is how this family is pupating. So previous two families I told, they'll be having some silk thread attached to some support, and this is totally different. You can see that they are pupating from some ceiling or some support they are pupating it. So this is a typical family. And I told the X shape. So these are the one group. So we have the common casters, angle caster, common baron, common sailors and all. Okay, you can see that some dimple-like markings on the X. This the dome shape. The bottom is flat with some spikes on it. Okay. So you can see that it is having a lot of hairs. Okay. So these hairs are basically to uh, protect them from some parasite wasp attacks and all. Usually some parasite wasp will be looking for the opportunity to lay eggs inside these eggs. So these spikes will be helping them to protect from such attacks, because the small wasp cannot reach into the egg to lay eggs here. Okay. So and these are the some of the eggs from this one, and these are the caterpillars of that group. So this caterpillar is common to you, so you would have seen on the mango leaves and all. This is the common baron. Okay, and we have few more similar looking caterpillars, all the baronets. Okay, this is a gaudy baron, this is a gray cone, and we have the baronet. Okay, so if you are going to JPR of and all, you can see a lot of baronets. So this is how the baronet caterpillar looks. Okay, and this is a castor caterpillar. Okay, so this is a common castor you would have seen on the castor plants, the Ricinus communis. So these caterpillars, you have seen that they are having some spikes or some projections on the body, unlike the first two families which you have discussed. And this is how a sailor caterpillar is looking like. So we have a few sailors in the Western Ghats region. And this is how they pupate. Okay, you can see that this is a beautiful pupa of a grey cow. So I mean, usually it's a Christmas season is coming. You can see that something like a Christmas lantern it look like. So they are beautiful. They connected to or attached to some support. Okay, so you can see that all these are belonging to the Nymphalidae family. This is how usually the caterpillar is pupating. Okay. So these are the another the group in this family is the pansies. So we have total 6 pansies here. So this is a typical egg of a gray pansy. This is the lemon pansy caterpillar, and this is how they pupate. And this is of a common leopard, and you can see that this is a Sahyadri rustic. So this is having some projections on the body, and this is how they pupate. Okay, so I just uh, shown some pictures to get an idea about how this family early stages will be looking like, how the caterpillar, how the egg, and how they pupate. Okay. And this is group also, or this family is also having the our Danaid, um, the butterflies, that is the crows and tigers. Okay, so crows and tigers, you can see that they are having slightly elongated the egg. So this is of a common crow, and this is how the caterpillar of common crow looks. You would have seen on your the oleander plants or various ficus plants. Okay. So they are with more horns or tentacles. Okay. And this is of a blue tiger, and this is a striped tiger. And you can see that all this will be having some common features. So these are the crows and tigers, and I told this a slightly bigger family. So we have the Nawabs. Okay, so Nawabs, Rajas, and all will be coming in this family. This is of an Indian map butterfly. You can see some projections on it. This is of a black Raja. So they usually breed on the tamarind plant or the Videshi imli, the Pitapsalobian tools and all. Okay, and this is how their eggs look like. So it'll be something similar to your the papillinoid egg, but they'll be laying the eggs on a different plants, so something on the acacia plants or related plants. So you can identify them. Okay. And this is of clipper. Okay. And this group also having the browns, the uh, different, the rings, the 5 rings, 4 rings, evening browns and all. Okay. So usually they'll all breed on different grasses. Okay. And this egg, you can see that again, it's something like a dome shape. Okay. And you have the caterpillars. Okay. So, and some of the caterpillars will be having the horns. Okay. And this is of medusa brown. And you can see that all that in the ones, even though it's the caterpillar is differently looking, but from the characteristics you can identify that this is belonging to this Nymphalidae family because their pupa is attached to the ceiling or the support at the one point only. So this is belonging to the Nymphalidae family. Once again. Okay, so I told we have another family with only 2 members, that is the Rheodinidae family. The metal marks and all will be coming. So we have only 2 members here, only the plum Judy and double banded Judy. So in Bangalore and all, we are having only the suffuse double banded Judy. Okay, they'll be having 2 distinctive bands. Okay, and this is the typical the life cycle of that particular butterfly. So since it is, we have only 2 similar looking butterflies, so it may not confuse with anything else. Okay. And we have now 2 more families. Okay. So next family is the Lysanidae family. So here it is generally known as blues. Okay. So usually when you are looking at the butterfly, you cannot see the blue. Okay. So the blue is actually on the upper wings of the butterfly. So usually these butterflies are smaller butterflies with generally will be the males, especially the males will be having more blue on the upper wings. So that is why it is known as blues. Okay. So if you want to more know about the blues, the identification of the blues, you can refer to the Ashok Sen Gupta's the talk in the same YouTube channel. He's talking on the clues for blues. Okay, so how to distinguish different blues. So slightly the difficult for the beginners to distinguish different blues. Okay, so you can refer that one. Okay, so this is a typical life cycle of a blue. So I told these are the smaller butterflies. Okay, and the eggs of these butterflies are usually disc shaped. Okay, so you can see it's a flattened one. Okay, and it is usually the smallest the eggs. Okay, you can just see with the bare eyes or naked eyes. So and you cannot completely see all the details of that eggs. So usually they'll be laying on the flower buds or the new shoots. Okay. And the caterpillar also, unlike the other caterpillars, they are more like a slug. Okay, there will be flattened. Okay, and they're having some segments. It will be may not be having any projections or the hairs on the body. So it will be more like a slug-like caterpillar. Yeah. So and pupation also, they'll be just having a more the slightly bulky, but they'll be again attaching to their the pupa into their leaves or any structures by using some silk threads. So usually they'll be pupating on the leaf or the stem of the plant itself. Okay, so these are the common ceruleans, and you can see that both these 2 are same species. So but we are having the wet season form and dry season form, so to survive in the surroundings. So when they are in the breeding in a drier environment, they'll be having more the paler colors, which can help them to the camouflage better in the surroundings. So this is a wet season form and dry season form. So usually the dry season form will be more the paler in color, so that they can easily sync with their surroundings. Okay. So and some butterflies are showing this distinctive coloration in the wet season and dry season forms. Okay, again, show more eggs. This is of a sunbeam. Okay, so Indian sunbeam, they usually lay egg on the your Pongamia plant. Okay, and it is having more like a golf ball like structure. At all, they'll be having some disc shaped structure, so they'll be small. This is of plain stupid, so which you could have seen in different cycas plants in your garden. And this of the common the hedge blue, so they are also two tiny eggs. Okay, I think okay. So this is a typical life cycle of the sunbeam. So you can see that the egg, caterpillar, and a pupa usually, which is very compact, which will be pupating on the leaf and all. Okay. So even though I told this is in the belonging to the blues family, some of them may be having the red color in the up. So one is the sunbeam male is having a more sunny sunlight, the appearance on the up. And most of I was talking about the host plants also. Okay, so but this particular butterfly, the oriental ape fly, so these are actually their caterpillars. Okay, so they are not the feeding on any plants, so they usually feed, they are carnivorous. Okay, so they feed on the mealy bugs. Okay, so the female will be laying egg among the mealybug colony, and once they hatch, they'll be slowly the camouflage among the mealybug colony, and they'll be slowly start eating the mealybugs. So, and why it is known as ape fly, you can see that its pupa is looking like a face of an ape. Okay, it is too tiny, so but you can see that it is having a ape shaped structure. And some more caterpillar, I told the caterpillars will be more like a slug shape, and it will be having the more flattened body, and this is a typical pupa of it. And this you would have seen the Indian red puror. Okay, so which is coming on in your garden plants, the succulent plants like the Birophyllum. So there the caterpillar will be usually staying inside the leaves by eating from inside. They'll be hiding inside the leaves. So from the top and bottom layer, they'll be keeping intact, and they'll be hiding inside. And some of the caterpillars will be hiding inside the fruit pods. Okay, so like the pea blue, they'll be breeding inside the crotalaria plots. Okay, and this is a pupa of a Indian red puror. So if you are planting that the plants in your garden, the red puros may become a resident butterfly. Okay, and I told the butterflies are breeding inside the fruits. Okay, some examples are this common Goa blue and the oriental cornelian and all. Okay, so the caterpillars will be laying egg on the Goa plant, Goa fruit, or the pomegranate fruit, and the caterpillars will be boring into the fruit, and they'll be staying inside it, and they'll grow from inside. Okay, so and this is their typical the pupa. Okay, and this is actually a common Goa blue butterfly, and it's caterpillar. Okay, and this group actually we are having some oak blues. Okay, so this is center of blue. Sorry, I clicked on another one. Okay, so and Anish, usually Anish, this yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Can you just disable the annotations, please?
Okay.
Just go to the top view options.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Disable. Okay. Yeah. Done.
Disable it.
Okay. Done.
Thanks.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So actually, this group is having some symbiosis with the ants. Okay. So you can see this caterpillar is staying with a lot of ants. They are not eating the caterpillar, but they are having the a friendly relation with the ants. So you can see that actually this last picture, you can see that this caterpillar is having a nectar gland. Yeah. So this blue caterpillar having a nectar gland, from that some seed secretion will be coming, and these ants are looking for that seed secretion. So and they won't harm the caterpillar. Instead, they'll be protecting the caterpillar from any other predators. So this is a common silver line caterpillar and its pupa. You can see that the ants are even the associate, I mean, the wandering around their pupa. Okay. So this is the common the monkey puzzle. Okay, so in Bangalore, I mean, sometimes we will be finding this butterfly in some places. So they'll be breeding on the Ixora plants. They have different plants, and this is some typical structure of that one. There'll be some spikes on the body, unlike the one which we are told earlier. Okay, so this is the last family. So this is what is known as the skippers. Okay, so at first look, some of them may not be looking like butterflies. They'll be more like a moths, but they are the from other characteristics. They have the butterflies. Okay, and we have the different shifts. The ankles, flats, and all will be coming in this family. So this is what is the skippers family or Hesperidae. So why it is known as skippers is they'll be, I mean, instead of flying fast, they'll be just swiftly moving from one place to another place, or just jumping around. So that is why they are known as skippers. Okay. So this is a typical life cycle of a skipper. Okay, so the peculiarity of this family is these caterpillars will not be staying outside. So they'll be making some cells. Okay, they'll be just cutting and folding the leaf to make some cells, and the caterpillar will be staying inside the cells. And once there is no disturbance, they'll be coming outside and feeding it, and they'll be going back to their cell. Okay, so usually all the members in this family will be making these cells, okay, by rolling the leaves. Okay, so and the eggs usually will be dome shaped, but with some additional ridges on it. Okay, you can see this is of a Indian palm pop. Okay, so they usually lay egg on different palms or coconut palms, the different garden palms and all. And this the first instar caterpillar of it, you can see that they'll be cutting the leaves and then they'll fold it. Okay, and they'll make this cell by the stitching with some the threads. They'll be making the cells. Okay, and finally they'll be pupating mostly inside the cell itself, so that I mean, it will be getting protected from the parasite wasp attacks. And okay, so this is how a typical the skipper pupa will be there. And this is the butterfly and its a life stage. Okay. And you can see how these caterpillars are hiding inside the leaf cells. This is of a brown awl. Okay, and this is a common banded awl. This is pretty common in Bangalore. Okay, and at all, this is again dome shape with some ridges on it. Yeah. And this is and old king. So you can see all these are making cells and hiding inside the leaves. Okay, and you can see on the right two adult butterfly. One is the rice shift, and another one is the conjoined shift. Okay, so those who are not the familiar with these butterflies, it is very difficult to identify the butterflies from the picture, or from its adult. It is very difficult to identify it. But you see the caterpillar is also almost similar looking, but you can see that the head capsule or the front view of these caterpillars are too different. Okay, so usually the skipper butterflies are slightly complex group to identify, but the head capsules are very different. So usually we are using this technique to identify these butterflies. Then it is easier to identify from their head capsules than from the adult. Okay, so you can see that this rice shift and the conjoined shift, the head capsules are quite different. So it is easier than identifying from their adults. Okay, Okay, so I'm putting here some more head capsules, so which you can see that they are totally different, and it is unmistakable. So in one species you can easily identify from another species. So usually in the skippers we are using this technique to distinguish these butterflies. Okay. And this is known as a common branded red eye. You can see that they will be having a distinguished bright red eyes. Okay. And one technique which they do is, once they lay egg, they'll be putting some protective scales on the egg so that the parasite wasp cannot come and lay egg on it. So this is how they protect from their potential attackers. And this red eggs caterpillar is also will make some cells. Okay, but this the species will be having a distinctive cell. Usually they will be making some helical shaped cells. You can see put some picture. So they'll roll the leaf like a helical cell. Okay, and the caterpillar will be staying inside. So even without seeing the caterpillar, sometimes you can identify the butterfly from the look of their cell. So this is the giant red eye. So this also another red eye. So which you are seeing in your garden. So in the evening time and all, they'll be flying around. So this is one of the big egg, and they are having a hemisphere shaped egg. Okay. Another the group in this family are the flats. Okay, so this is how the flat caterpillars look like. They are smaller, and they usually they fold the leaves and make cells and stay inside. They have the black angles, the golden angles, and these are the golden angle. You can see that different instar. They'll be just folding these, cutting and folding the leaf and staying inside. Okay. And so that are the different families. Okay, so usually as butterflies, they'll be having different threats. Okay, so they're insects. So most of the other insects and the birds, the spiders, all are looking for some opportunity to they catch them and eat them. Okay, so there are many different techniques the butterflies are using. So some of them may be camouflaging. This is a blue oak leaf. Okay, so you can see that it will be having a dry leaf like shape, and this is a common evening brown. So there'll be a camouflage among the dry leaves and all, and they are having different colors depending on the area which they are growing. And some of them having some eyes, fake eyes on the wings. So when suddenly they open their eye and the wing, so some big eyes will be seen, so which can distract the potential predators. And the some butterflies, okay, you can see here a common rose, crimson rose. Okay, so usually these butterflies will be breeding on some toxic plants. Okay, something like they are breeding on the Aristolochiae plants, okay, which are having some toxic chemical. So when their caterpillars are growing on it, so they'll be consuming this toxic the chemicals in their body, and which will be accumulating there. So when some predators like birds and all will feed on it, so it will be distasteful for them. So usually they'll be avoiding such the butterflies. They are unpalatable. Okay, so usually such butterflies will be having some warning colors. You can see it is having a bright red color. So so once the birds and all will be seeing this bright red color, so it's a warning color. So usually they'll be avoiding such butterflies. Okay, so that is a survival technique. And some of the butterflies will be having, you can see this a cornelian. So you can see that there will be some eye-like shape on the tail end. Okay, some tornal spot is here. So its head and tail can get confused. Okay, so it's a survival technique. If something is getting attacking from the tail end, so it can try to escape. So that is how they do it. And this is a swift. So the name itself, it's a swift. Okay, so usually they'll be flying very fast to avoid, in case of any disturbance, they'll be flying very fast to the escape from the predators. Okay. Yeah, another one I already mentioned, they'll be having some seasonal forms. So this is of a plain squid. You have the in the dry season form and wet season form, that is to the sink into their environment. Yeah. So this survival technique is not only for the adults, okay. So, but the early stages are also susceptible for the attacks and the predation. So you can see even in the caterpillar stage, they are not safe. So even in the egg stage, they are not safe. Okay. There are some parasite wasps. They'll be laying egg inside the butterfly eggs, okay, and they will grow inside the butterfly eggs. So you can see that there are few parasite wasps are laying egg inside the egg, and they are growing from inside, and the wasp will be coming out of these eggs. Okay, and during the caterpillar stages also, the parasite wasp will be laying eggs inside. Okay, and this wasp eggs will be hatched from inside, and they will grow inside. And once they mature, the caterpillars are matured, they'll be coming out of this caterpillar, killing the caterpillar, and they will pupate it outside. Okay, so that is how the parasites wasp are completing their life cycle. Okay. And even the pupas are also not safe. You can see that a parasite wasp is laying egg in a common Mormon pupa, and once the pupa is matured, or once the wasp is adult is come, so they'll be coming out of this pupa of the butterfly, and they'll pupate it outside. So, and this is a Tachynidae fly, which is a parasite which attack the oriental and the common cerulean, and which is pupated here. Okay, so you can see that there are a lot of threats. Okay, and butterflies, the caterpillars will be trying to escape from that. And not only in the parasite wasp attack, you can see that the assassin bugs, the different bugs, spiders, even the wasp, all will be trying to attack these caterpillars. Okay. And not only the predators, there are some chances of the infections like the fungal infection. So usually if you are seeing some caterpillars with some fluid coming out of the body, so usually it will be fungal infection. Okay. So and sometimes it will be contagious, so it may be spreading to other caterpillars also. So usually when you are seeing it on some plants or something, you try to remove it, otherwise it may affect the other caterpillars also. Okay, so usually the fungal infection can be identified from that some black fluid coming out of the caterpillar body. Okay, and these are the some survival technique they'll be using. Okay, here it's a silver streak blue. They are perfectly camouflaging into the ficus leaves which they are breeding, and they'll be, some of them will be having some snake-like appearance to the deter the potential predators. Okay, some of them are quite camouflaged to their surroundings. Actually, here the left one, I have a common cerulean caterpillar, and right one also this common cerulean caterpillar, and they are adapting different colors to sync with their surroundings. Okay. If it is a surrounding is more pinkish, they'll be adopting that color. So sometimes they'll adopt the color of the surroundings to escape. Okay, and here is another example. Is a Sahyadri yamfly caterpillar. You can see that 4 caterpillars are there. You can see how perfectly they are syncing with their the surroundings. So it will be looking like a part of their plant. Okay. Also, you can see that the ants are associated with it. So the ants are trying to feed on the nectar which is producing from the nectar glands. Okay, so these are some other techniques. Okay, you can see this is a great orange tip butterfly. So it will be or mimicking some snakes. So some if some birds or something comes, they'll be mistaken it as some wine snake or something. So they'll be escaped. So this is a great orange tip. Okay. And some butterflies will be, and the caterpillars will be having the projections or hairs. So that is to avoid the sudden attack from some the predators, and some of them will be having fake eyes, or some of them will be trying to get some help from the some friends like the ants. Okay, and the another one is the camouflaging techniques. I put two more examples here. Okay, so this is a commander caterpillar. So in the earlier stage, they'll be eating and they'll be keeping the furs around it. So and they'll be staying inside. So that it cannot be easily identified the caterpillar. Okay, and at the later instar, they'll be having some mean slightly the ferocious look, so that they'll be trying to avoid this. Okay, and here it's a common Lasker caterpillar, so it may be not be easy to identify. Actually, they'll be cutting the leaf and drying it, and they'll be hiding inside that one. So here there is a caterpillar here, so that's the one technique which they use. Yeah, and some of them breed in big numbers to escape from the potential predators. Okay, and skippers, they'll be using the cells to protect themselves, and some caterpillars will be having some projections or some hairs on the caterpillar to protect from the potential attacks. Yeah. So these are some of the techniques pupas will be using. Okay. Actually, in those who have seen the southern birdwing pupa and all, sometimes if you are trying to distract that pupa, they'll be vibrating itself and making sound, so that even in the pupal stage, they'll be trying to avoid any potential predators. And this is the common oriental common mime. So you can see that will be the pupa will be like the part of the stem, so it will be like a dried stem. Okay, and some of them will be inside the cells. Okay, and some of them will be making on acting as a part of their plant. Okay, and this is the banana skipper, and they'll be making or they'll be breeding in huge number, and so that the chance of survival is more. And some of them will be having the weird the shape. So this is a Sahyadric cruiser. It's a uncommon butterfly. Okay, so I'll quickly go into some host plants and finish it. So the host plants, actually we are having the now a consolidated list for the all the butterflies in Western Ghats. Actually, the paper by the Nitin and team. So it has. I mean, if you can just search on Google the larval host plants of Western Ghats butterflies, you'll be getting this paper. You can download from here. So this is the in this work they consolidated the all the reports in the literature, as well as all the recent records, okay, by eliminating some of the errors in that one. So it's a good reference for all the host plants. Okay, so some of the common host plants I'll just introduce. I'm not going by butterflies. I'll just go by the plants. Okay, so in the amaranthus plants, which is growing in the garden and evenly. So some grass blues are breeding. Okay, the dark grass blue and lesser grass blues will be breeding on this one. On mango trees, you'll be having the common baron, and also the onyx is breeding on the mango trees. Okay. And this is the Polyalthia longifolia, the must or the Ashoka tree. So, and different plants from the custard apple family. So this is actually the Sitaphal, okay, the Ananas squamosa. In that trees, the common jays and tail jays are breeding on. Okay. Actually, this is a plain tiger. So plain tiger, they cross all that things. They are breeding on cross and tigers mainly breeding on the milkweed plants. Okay, so when the leaf is cut, some milk-like secretion will be coming. So that's are the milkweeds. Okay, so this is Asclepias corosica, and the Calotropis, the gigantea and all. So usually the plain tigers will be breeding on it. You would have seen that the caterpillar with the yellow and black bands. Yeah, so there is a plain tiger, and this blue tigers are breeding on some apocynaceae plants, the Vatacaca volubilis, the Cosmostica and all. Okay, and crows are breeding on different the ficus plants. Okay, ficus trees, and this is the Hemidesmus indicus. Okay, so it's a medicinal plant, and on also on oleander. Okay, so in your garden you would have seen some caterpillars with some horns and all, so that are of common crows. And the Vatacaca volubilis, it's for the oriental blue tiger. Okay, and different the calamus species, so these are actually forest uh, the butterflies, actually the cane family. So many butterflies are breeding on the cane. Okay, and on coconut you can see different uh, uh, palm bobs. Okay, palm bobs, the giant red eye and all breeding on the coconut plant. Okay, and this is the Aristolochia plant, and we have actually few Aristolochia indica, Aristolochia tagala and all. So there our roses are breeding, common rose, crimson rose, the Sahyadri birdwing and all breeding on the Aristolochia indica plant. And this is actually the Malabar rose, and they're also breeding on the Totia silicosa, so which is also a host plant for the roses. Okay, and the actually this Vanda's psyche and all, they're breeding on the Caparis plants, which are thorny creepers, which is growing in the drier lands. Okay, so the Caparis, the Ceylanica, in on that the Indian wanderer and the common gull, the psyche and all breeding on it. Okay, and this is a common plant for the psyche butterfly. So it's a Cleum rotidosperma. Okay, and actually this is a chocolate albatross. So they are breeding on these Crateva plants, and this is what I told. This is quite common in Bangalore also. The red pyros, the beautiful butterfly, which will be breeding on this Birophyllum. Okay, and this Quiscolis indica, your Rangoon creeper. It's a host plant for grass yellows, and this is your plains cupid. Okay, so which is actually a threat for all the gardeners who is growing the cycas plants. Okay, in the season, the caterpillars will be growing in plenty, and they may be eating the entire fresh leaves on the cycas plants, which is growing in the garden. Okay, and this the flats. Okay, so this is a suffuse snow flat and water snow flat. They usually breed on the Dioscorea plants, the violet yam. Okay, and this is a common castor. They are breeding on the castor plants mainly, the Ricinus communis. Okay, and this is actually another western gut butterfly, the many-tailed oak-blue, and this is also having only one plant known yet. Okay, it is on breeding on the Trivia nudiflora, and sunbeam is breeding on your Pongamia pinnata as well as the Abrus cryptaritis. So these are the some common plants. Okay, and this is the Cassia fistula, or golden shower. So you can see many butterflies breeding on it. The lemon emigrant, mottled emigrant, this three-spot grass yellow, common grass yellow, red spot, all that things are, all that butterflies are breeding on this Cassia fistula. And this pea blues I told, they are breeding on this inside the pods of this Crotalaria pallida plants. So usually you can see them breeding inside the plants. People also breeds on some other in the peas. Okay, so that is why it is known as a pea blue. And acacia, the albizia and all common plants for the grass yellows. Okay, also the albizia saman, the rain trees. Okay, and this plant, the Senatora, is usually after the rains they'll be coming up lot in numbers in the open lands and all. Okay, so the common grass yellow is the breeding on that one. And this is a one common plant which you had seen, it, Senna auriculata, with the yellow flowers around Bangalore. You can see them in plenty. And the lemon emigrant and mottle emigrant is breeding on that plant, the Senna auriculata. And this is the cinnamon plant. Okay, there are a few species of cinnamon plants. Okay, on that, the common mine and the blue bottles are breeding on it. Okay, so and this is the Lorenzaceae plant, so which is a parasite plant growing on the trees. Okay, on that usually the Jezebel is growing, and as well as the your royal peacock royal, plains blue royal, and all breeding on the Lorenzaceae plant. Okay. And this is the Pongamia pinnata or Miletia pinnata. So this is a common avenue tree in Bangalore. Okay, you can see many butterflies breeding on it, like the common banded owl, the common cerulean, dark cerulean, forget-me-not, sunbeam. Okay, so you can see a lot of them are breeding using this plant as a host plant. Okay, and this ficus plants, it's also milkweed. There'll be common crow is using on it. Okay, and the banana skippers will be using the banana. And this is a common butterfly around Bangalore. The grass blue. The grass blues are using this oxalis plant. So it's with a slight sour taste, so it is using as vegetable also. It's Oxalis corniculata. And the grizzled skippers are using different the species of the Sida species, Sida acuta, the different species from the Malvaceae family. They'll be making cells. Okay. And the bamboo is actually another major attraction for butterflies. So many skippers are breeding on this bamboo, the dark palm dart, the different dark lights, all that things are breeding on the bamboo, the red eyes. Okay. And similarly the rice blades, many butterflies are breeding, the bush browns, evening browns, the branded swift and all breeding on the rice blades. Okay. And this is a the common passion flower. So on that you would have seen the many tonic coster butterflies are breeding on it. Okay. So in Bangalore you can see a lot of them on this plant. Okay. And this is a garden plant. It's a Plumbago auriculata. So you would have seen with the blue flowers. Okay. So actually this butterfly itself is known as a Plumbago blue. The zebra blue is also known as Plumbago blue because they are breeding on this plant. Okay. So one or two slides, I'll finish it. Okay. So this some skippers are preferring the broad-leafed the grasses. Okay, like the sorghum. Okay, and this is a egg fly. Egg flies are using the some plants from the Acanthaceae family. This Portulaca species. Okay. And this Pyros, okay, the common Pyros, striped Pyro, or the Pterocarpus group, they'll be using the bear plants. That's a Sisyphus family, the Sisyphus Venioplenia or Sisyphus montana. So different species they'll be using. So all the Pyros grows on these various Sisyphus plants. Okay. And you know the common Mormon and lime, the butterfly, they'll be using the curry leaves or different species of citrus plants. Okay. And you can see that the lime blue, it's a Lysanidae family. They'll also use the lime plants. So that's why the name lime blue has come. Okay. And the commander is not so common in Bangalore, but occasionally we are seeing it. So they are breeding on different Musanda species. Okay. And the corn crow again coming on this the Eleni, that is the Eleucarpus plants. Okay. And some of them will be breeding on the fruits. I told one example is the cornelian. They'll be using the soap nut fruits and all. So these are some more butterflies. Okay, so you would have seen the grass demons breeding on the ginger cucumber plants. Okay, on the different Zingiberaceae family, and the golden angles are breeding on this Isocritis isora. So it is having a distinctive fruit, and also on different and the trivia plants. Okay, so with this I'll be concluding it. So the you have seen that I used most of the pictures, so almost all the pictures from the iPhone butterflies of .org. So I mean all the credits are for their contributors. So I told this is to the motivate you also to contribute into this one. So even your small pictures of a and with a caterpillar with maybe interesting to the science, and also each record which you are seeing will be interesting to science. So whenever you are going out, when you are taking good photographs, please upload into the iPhone butterflies, so that they'll be curated, the verifying your record, and they'll be updating it. So thank you all the photographers. I cannot put all the names together, but I thank all of them for their contributing into this the iPhone butterflies. And these are my references, mainly from iPhoneButterflies.org, and also the host plants details. I referred the paper by Nitin and all. Okay, so now I'll be taking the questions. So I cannot see the chat, or you can ask also.
So, hello, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the wonderful talk. Here are some questions. Sai Shailesh wants to ask, how can we know all butterflies host plant?
No, we have I shown the paper, so that you can just search on that paper. So this paper, actually you can just search in the Google the host plants of the Western Red butterflies. So this paper will be coming. So you can refer. Most of the recorded plants are reported plants are recorded there. Okay, and in the still some of the plants we may not be knowing. So we have now some database of the host plants. So from that you'll be knowing it, and from which are the families. So we'll be having some additions coming. So we'll be knowing from some experience, as well as you have a good reference now. You can just refer into this paper. You'll be getting most of this the host plant records there. Okay.
So next question is why?
No, I'm missing. No, that question I cannot hear it.
Sir, can you hear now?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So there's one more question from the same person.
Again missing sound. Again missing, or I have to check. I'm missing the audio.
I think our audio is having some problem.
Okay.
I think almost all the questions have been answered on the chat itself by
okay.
Nitin.
Nitin is there. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Nitin, for those additional support.
Yeah. So because I don't watch the chat that while presenting. So any other?
Can you hear?
Yeah, but it is missing sometimes.
Okay. Shall I ask this question now?
Yeah.
So why caterpillars is covered with ants, and will ants eat the caterpillars?
Yeah, actually, it is better to refer the recent paper by the Dibendra and Kunde team. Okay, so actually on the life cycle of the lilac silver line. So there are a lot of videos also available. You can just search on that paper. So I think Nitin can give the link of that paper. Okay, so usually I shown in my presentation, the blue caterpillars will be having a nectar gland. So they'll be secreting some seed nectar. So, and these ants are looking for that nectar to feed, so that they won't disturb the caterpillar. So they'll be tending the caterpillar to get that nectar. So it's the win-win situation, because the caterpillar will be getting protection of this ant so that the other predators will not come easily. Okay. So that is the symbiosis relation between the blue caterpillar and the ants.
So here's the last question.
Yeah.
The question is, when do caterpillars come out of the cells at night? They're asking if caterpillars come out at night.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on, usually the skipper caterpillar, they'll make cells and they'll stay inside the cells. Okay. And when there are no threats or no disturbance around, they'll come out and feed. And some caterpillars will be coming out at night, but sometimes they'll be coming at the daytime also. So usually if there is no disturbance, they'll come out and feed on the plant. Okay. So some of them will be preferring night, but not all.
Thank you, sir. I think Priya has the last question.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, the wasps that the parasitoid wasps, are they specific to the egg or the larva? Like, do egg parasitoids affect only egg, or do they affect more than one stage?
So it's almost like that, because the wasp will be having a certain period for completing the early stages. Okay. So if they're looking for eggs, so they know this many days the eggs will be stay intact. So usually that the wasp are specific to this, and they'll be looking only for certain eggs. Okay. Similarly, some bigger wasp, they'll be attacking the caterpillars at the later instal. They know they need at least this many days to complete their life cycle. So it is almost specific to the wasp are particular to lay on eggs on either egg or the caterpillar. So we are not having the complete information, but they'll be looking for how many days it will be recurring to complete their life cycle. So it may be almost specific to egg or caterpillar.
Hello.
So if the egg parasitoid arrives when the egg is already opened and the caterpillars come out, they do not affect the caterpillar.
No, because that time if they are laying egg, at a very small instar, usually we are not seeing much wasp attacks. Okay, so usually the attack is coming at the later instars. Okay, so the egg parasites are different, and caterpillar parasites will be different.
Anish?
Yes.
Hello. Yeah. Most of the butterflies are plant feeders, like phytophagous, except oriental ape fly and all like that. Why differences?
Yeah. So why means they are actually evolved like that. Okay. So and the different butterflies will be having different host plan. So similarly, these are evolved such a way that they'll be feeding on these mealy bugs. So they're evolved as the carnivorous. Okay. I am not having the exact answer for it. I think Nitin, you have anything, then you can tell it. Okay. So we don't know exactly how they evolved. What is the exact mechanism for that evolving like that?
Anish, sir,
what is the question?
Can I interrupt? Anish, sir?
Yes.
Actually, the airfly caterpillar probably they were actually feeding on the plant parts only. Okay. Maybe before, maybe they evolved eating the mealy bugs, which are actually they might have accidentally start feeding on the mealy bugs, which are there on the plants. Yeah. And you were adapted like that. They started feeding only on the mealybugs, probably.
Yeah.
But that is
Nitin, if you are there, you can answer. So
yeah. So in terms of carnivory, I would say that carnivory is the ancestral character. So herbivory, in terms that means eating plants, actually is a very recent character. So it is possible that aphid caterpillars went back to eating carnivores. Meat or scale insects. And earlier, all butterflies evolved from insects that were carnivorous. So if you look at the insect orders, you would see that almost 90% of them are meat eating or carnivorous, and only 10% of them are herbivorous. So herbivory is actually a recent trait and carnivory is an ancient trait. So there are multiple instances where when something has evolved to do something, they've gone back to what their ancestral state was. So that is what you see in apefly and a lot of other Melitinae butterflies. So it is going back to what they first evolved from. So it is not, evolving a new trait to eat on the meat. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the information.
Yeah, Hanisha.
Yeah.
Priyanka here.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was listening to you and it was very nice and very informative and I didn't miss it. I just want to ask you, actually, I was looking at the copper pod tree in my area and I saw one round egg like you saw, you presented and you're like common nawab or something like that, round egg. But I found it everywhere like this copper pod tree as a host plant for that specific, like I have, I didn't find any answer like.
So, I mean, the best thing is you have to observe further, but usually the nawabs will be breeding on the plants similar to that one, different acacia plants, with having similar leaves. So it can be a nawab also, but we'd like to see the pictures.
Yeah, because I didn't, that time I didn't have any clue about it, which egg it can be. And also I'm traveling. So I didn't, took that part of the branch and, but later on I'll be observing, but I have clicked the picture for reference. And
we'll check that.
Yeah, I'll be posting and tagging you. So hopefully I can get answer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we thank Hanish for his excellent and very informative talk on this particular subject. And Priya, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Hanish, for that wonderful talk, telling us so many things about the early stages of the butterflies. And many of the fascinating things that you discussed are not commonly known to many of us. Thank you for bringing this awareness about all these stages of the butterfly's life cycle. Thank you.
Okay. So I think, if you are having any question, you can, my email ID is there. So, or you can catch me on any of the social media platform. Okay. So actually I took a little more time. So then sorry for that. Then
no, it is all
So thank you for the Karnataka Butterfly Festival, the Karnataka Forest Department, the I Found Butterflies, and the NCBS, and also the Bangalore Butterfly Club for organizing such a talk series, and also giving me an opportunity to present the thing. So thank you all the participants who came and they attended this session. So even on a holiday in the evening time. So thank you all for joining me. So we'll be more talks are coming this one. So I think I am also waiting for some of the talks from all these experts. So thank you all. Have a nice day. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.